Good morning, everyone. I know it's a little unusual to have me seated down here on the stool, but I thought I'd try it for a couple weeks and see what y'all thought and see how it goes. You like it? All right, right here, buddy, right here. So, we're in the middle of a sermon series, which is a little different than we usually do here. This is the third of three different talks about the theme of abundant life, because Jesus said in the Gospel of John, not in today's reading, but in another place, he says, I wanted my people, and I came so that all my disciples would have an abundant life, or the abundant life. And you know from the last couple times we've been together that abundance means that your life would be overflowing, like too much to handle in your one cup. Like if you got a little kid and they go to the refrigerator to get that gallon jug of milk and they say, I'll pour this, and you think, oh my God, this will never work. And it doesn't work, and they overflow the whole glass onto the table. That's what Jesus wants. He wants you to be an overflowing glass of milk. Something like that. He wants you to have more life in you than could really be contained. So, in the very first talk, we said that the real foundation, the real underpinning of what Jesus means by an abundant life is that you and I would know and then have the feeling, because we know, the feeling that we as individuals are connected to God forever. That deep inside of us, our deepest core, we are a people of spirit. Our spirit and God's spirit are the same. He is like the core that runs our life. It's our essence is divine. It's sacred. It's holy. That we're inseparable from God. And that gives us the sense that we are connected to the source of all things. That life itself, the very divine life that is from God, is in us. And that gives us a sense of being overflowing. That you and I are children of God, made in the image of God. That's your foundation. That's who you really are. And we are clothed or cloaked or we go around in these physical bodies. We have a certain personality in the mind, but that's just the surface level. That's just the surface. Deep down, under the surface, you and I are essentially spiritual beings, and we're connected to the one source of all life that made all things. That's the foundation of an abundant life. And then, in the second talk, we said, look, after you have that kind of awakening, or you get that feeling, you know what? I am really sacred. I am divine. I am a person of spirit. Then you look out onto the world around us, outside of us, and God seems to pop up everywhere. Or, to use religious language, the glory of God is like everywhere. You see the divine life and the glory of God in everything. Like St. Francis, he says, I can look at the moon, and it's not just a moon, that's sister moon. The moon and I are connected somehow. Looks at the sun, brother sun. Me and the sun are somehow connected. We're all alive and present because we're connected to God. Even the inanimate objects. Remember, St. Francis ends up in your garden as a bird feeder or a bird waterer because he preached a sermon apparently. And he wasn't preaching to people, he was preaching to the birds. It's called St. Francis' Sermon to the Birds because he felt so connected to nature that he could talk to the birds. And of course he told them, you'll need to sober up and get in church. But Francis, like all the other spiritual giants, they look out at the world. They don't just see an isolated, separate entity out there and they're locked in here. They say, no, we're all interconnected. And they see the glory of God that's in them is also in all this other created order. So an abundant life would be able to know God inside and then feel and see God in all things when you open the door of your house. You can say hello to the oak tree and hello to the chrysanthemums and greet the squirrel and say hello to the deer, which are more like squirrels in San Antonio. And you say hello to everything because they're like your brother, your sister, because you're all connected to God. That would be a really abundant life. And then today, the third part, we will talk about things and the material world and the stuff of this world. All the things that are in your garage that you swear you're going to have in a garage sale for someday. All those things. Is an abundant life, or how is having an abundant life related to the things of this world? And life as we know it here. Well, here's what I want to say. If we have that foundation inside, that we are connected to the source of all things, and we see God's glory and God's presence not only in us, but in the world about us, then when it comes to things and possessions and money and the experiences we have in this life, well, then those all become good things as well. They become blessings. Because we don't need them to be happy, because we are happy and overflowing with life on the inside, and we see God on the outside, and now all those other things, they're like icing on the cake. They're the cherry on top of the sundae. But we don't need them. They're just another manifestation of the divine life. Maybe not the deepest one, maybe not the most important one, but they're good. They are from God. They are a blessing. So if I look at your hat and I say, that is a lovely hat, Gloria. That is a fantastic, it's full of beauty. I love that hat. I can appreciate that hat. But the funny thing is, I can appreciate it, but I actually don't have to own it. I do have 3 just like that, actually. But so you can look at the things around you and appreciate them as part of God's world, and even a manifestation of the blessing of Spirit here in form. But you don't actually have to own all of them. And then you could own them, create them. They could come into your life, because the interesting thing is, once you're sort of connected to the source within and you're happy and feeling the abundant life of God all around you, well, then you become a place or a channel through which the Spirit does manifest things in the material world. You do get to be a creator. You get to be a co-creator with God. You get to make things happen in this world of form, and we enjoy them, and it's play. It's playful. It's full of enjoyment and gratitude. It's not grasping and craving like, I need that hat, Gloria, and I want 3. I need to get 3 of each color and have it in my house. Because the funny thing is, once you have the hat, well, then you want another hat. The one hat isn't good enough. Like the poor lady who used to be the head of the Philippines, the great manifester of form and shoes, Imelda Marcos, she had all kinds of shoes. She was the great manifester of the divine shoes, and she could never quite have enough shoes. Well, the funny thing is, once you really have the foundation within you that you are a son and daughter of God, you know who you are in spirit, and the divine presence is within you, and you see the divine presence out there in the world, well, then you can play with form, play with things. You can enjoy it, you can have it, or you can let it go. You can give it away because it's not the essential part of your life. Life becomes a little bit more playful, a little less, oh my God, I have to have that, and I need more of that. And the same thing when it comes to the 5 senses. Being in a body is not a mistake. It wasn't like God said, oopsie-daisy, I made a human being. He said, no, human beings are good. They're made in the divine image. I gave them a body for a purpose. They're supposed to enjoy the body. So many times, religion, in its weaker form, will always say the body is bad, and things are bad, and the creation is bad. It's the origin of sin. It's the beginning of evil. It's slipping into darkness. That's just a bad mistake. That's when you really have lost a sense of your own spiritual dignity, your own spiritual worth, and you have to have those things. That's when they become a little dangerous. That's when they become sort of addictive. That's when they become kind of a craving. Because if you don't have the Spirit within and you don't see God around you, all you're left with is things. And things will never hold up when it comes to what will really give us an abundant life. They can be a manifestation of it, but they can't be the center of it. So, I'm sorry religion might have messed people up along the way when they said that the body was not a good thing to enjoy, or that you shouldn't have things. You can have things, and they're meant to be a blessing, they're meant to be a gift. They're just not meant to be the main thing, the only thing. Then you end up chasing the wind, because you can never quite have enough things. If you don't mind a little digression, when it comes to the body and appreciating the physical form, how God is manifest here, you can really appreciate and love food and good meals. The funny thing is, I went to a restaurant this past week with my father-in-law who was in town. Kim, my spouse, is a vegetarian, so we don't usually go out to eat at a steakhouse. But my father-in-law liked steakhouses, so we went out to a steak place. I don't think I'd had a steak in a long time. And I thought it was pretty good. Although I do want to say a thank you to the cow. So, the idea is that food can be a blessing and you can enjoy it. But when it's the only thing and you're chasing after sensual pleasures, you chase them down, they become a need, they become a craving, they become an addiction, because you've lost sense of the spiritual source within you, your spiritual center, and you lose it. And you can get lost in things and lost in experiences, lost in chasing the pleasures of the body. But there have been some times when the church said, you know what? The body is a bad thing. You should fast. And don't enjoy your meal too much. And don't indulge the senses. Don't indulge the appetites of the flesh. Of course, that's why at some point in the early, well, not too early, but in the life of the church, they said sex was a bad thing. And if you were going to be really holy and really close to God, and you had to be a priest, then you had to be celibate. It's like, boy, what a mistake that was. Because everybody knows sexual pleasure is just fantastic. It's wonderful. Everybody likes it. It's a gift from God. It's just that you can't chase it down and try and get more. When you do that, you know you've kind of lost your spiritual side, your anchor, your foundation, your true identity. And you're chasing after another pleasure, and it becomes a problem then. But in its pure form, the body is a good thing. And the material world is a good thing. So how is it that you might manifest, if you wanted to, manifest or let God work through you to have a greater abundance of things, or possessions, or experiences, or even cash? Well, the Bible says that if you have a little faith and you say your prayers, and your point is to play with these manifestations and enjoy them, use them, give them away, enjoy somebody else's, but then you don't have to have it. Once you have that attitude and foundation, then set a goal, set some intentions, say your prayers, and you'd be amazed at what can come to you. You can do your work, but it's amazing when you're in the flow of Spirit, how Spirit loves to play with things, and you could be the source and the manifestation of lots of things in life. Of course, I'm always want to remind people that is true, and it will work, but it will not make you happy. Your happiness comes from within, comes from your connection to the one source of all things, and from seeing God in all things. But you're welcome and encouraged, and you have the ability to manifest lots of things in this world. I'll tell you 3 things came to me just for fun. I know it's going to be a long sermon, but I got to get it all in. Last sermon. Here at the church, I thought, wouldn't it be nice if there was some stuff and a community, a special community for younger people in their 20s and 30s. And I didn't even think about it very long until I got a call, I think it was a phone call, could have been an email, from Marie Bunch, a parishioner. She says, you know what? I would love to start a group for 20s and 30s. I said, you're kidding me. I just thought of that. Well, knock yourself out. Let's have our first dinner and let's get that started. I think that's fantastic. See, I didn't have to do anything. It came to me, or it came to you, it came to the church. Somebody else came to me just recently, said, Danielle, right over in the right-hand side. Yeah, right hand, your right hand. And he said, you know what? She wants to start a women's group just for women. Whether it's females as sisters or daughters or mothers, just the whole feminine group that they can celebrate the strengths and work on their problems and share together from that point of view. I said, that would be just great. We need another group like that in church. And it came to me. I didn't go out and look for it. She came, I've got this great idea. I said, that's fantastic. I was just thinking that. Here's the third one. So, there are lots of new people coming to church all the time. There are at least 50 different people so far this year have visited the church. And they come as visitors, and some want to stay, some want to go, some are just checking it out. But it's really, really hard for me to keep track of those 50 people, 50 families. And so Jack Cantrell, who's over here to your right, and he's the one doing the readings today, he said, I got this conference to go to. It's all about how to welcome newcomers. I said, great, we need some more newcomer help, and you want to start it. How fantastic is that? Anyway, I could go on. I just want to say that sometimes when it's the desire of your heart, and you put your intention out and say your prayers, asking for some abundance in new ways, it can actually come to you. And God manifests these things through us. And it's just for play. It's not like if these things didn't happen, we wouldn't be a great church. Right? But I'm glad to have all these new people going into welcoming the newcomers. I'm glad to have a new group starting for women. I'm glad to have a new group starting for 20s and 30s. And it all just came to me. So, abundant life means a lot of things. But primarily, it's the God within you that makes you feel like you're connected to all things. Then you look out at the world and you see the glory of God, the beauty of God in every living thing around you. Life is full. Your life is overflowing already. And now, you get to enjoy the playful interaction between form. Your body, things, possessions. And you can play with it. You don't need it, but you get to enjoy it. You don't crave it, but you get to manifest it. You can own it, you can give it away. It's just the enjoyment of the world of form. One of our colleagues says, Lord, help us to stay connected to the things that are eternal, the things of the Spirit on the inside, in such a way that while we're placed among things that are passing away, we don't lose the eternal stuff. Great prayer, right? Lord, help me be connected to you in such a way that I can enjoy the material world playfully, not lose track of who I am eternally. So I wish for everyone here the abundant life, the abundance of who you are in God, and He dwells in you all the time, 24/7. And God is in every living creature around you and in the world about us. You're overflowing with life. And we get to play with and manifest the material world. Enjoy it for what it is. Take it for what it is. Another manifestation of the abundant life of God. May everyone here enjoy all phases of the abundant life which Jesus came to give us. I offer this to you in God's name. God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.